Hey, happy 4th of July weekend. My name is John. This is Tommy. This is Dan, and welcome to Mission Church Barbecue Edition. So hey, welcome to Church at Home. Some of you are watching this with some of your favorite people in your favorite place. Maybe it's your backyard, maybe it's your driveway. You've got your neighbors, maybe some coworkers, some buddies, family members, other volunteers at Mission. I'm in one of my favorite places with some of my favorite people. This is Tommy and Dan, and we're here at Tommy's backyard. Thank you for hosting.
Yeah, welcome, fellas. Always good to have you back here.
We love it. We've been here many times.
Yeah.
We've spent many afternoons, evenings, right in this spot, talking about some really important things. And today we're going to talk about some really important things. Certainly we're going to talk about some barbecue here in a second, but right now as a church, we're talking about Beatitudes. We're doing a teaching on the Beatitudes, which are some of the most famous words Jesus ever spoke. In fact, many people have said the most famous sermon ever given in human history is the Sermon on the Mount. And what we're doing as a church is we're taking each week to walk through the 8 Beatitudes. Beatitudes is a big word that simply means a string of blessings. And so this is what Jesus does. He talks about the string of blessings that are for anyone and everyone that will choose to place their life under the leadership of Christ. And today we're going to talk about one of our favorite Beatitudes, certainly. Yeah. But this has been a space where we have talked, the three of us, at many occasions, many nights, about really important things. We've sat here, we've talked about mission, we've talked about our marriages, we've talked about meat.
And not necessarily in that order. But yeah, you know, John, as you said, we're talking about the Beatitudes, and this is Beatitude number 4. But not only are we talking about the Beatitudes, we are also going to be talking about, brisket.
So yeah, we love brisket. We've talked about brisket. We have cooked and smoked brisket. So I think it'd be great, right before we get into talking about the Beatitudes, let's talk about brisket for a few minutes. A lot of you watching, you love to barbecue, but you'd say, yeah, a little intimidated by the old brisket. It's a big investment. If you've been to Costco lately, you're like, oh man, I don't know.
You got to save up for it.
You got to save up for it. And so we're going to actually show them the brisket that you've been working on. We'll do that here in a few minutes. But let's talk about some of the common questions about brisket. And one of the common questions would be around, let's just start with seasoning. What do you rub the brisket with? What kind of seasoning do you like the most?
That's great. So let's go back to the basics. In case you don't know, brisket's from a cow. And I don't know how technical you want to get, but there's the point in the flat, and it's kind of like right in here on the animal. And today we're not doing the point, we're just doing the flat. Yeah, and so since it's beef, I like to typically just use salt and pepper.
Okay, Texas style.
Yeah, and nothing else. Today I did mainly pepper, and then I did this spice mix. It's a blend of salt, garlic, and paprika, which is just for color. Kind of gives it that mahogany. So we're doing the flat today. Pepper, salt, garlic, a little bit of paprika.
And the point of the brisket, that's where a lot of the fat and the marbling is, which we love. But you guys will see in the store, sometimes it's just the flat, or it's the flat and the point. That's when it's even a little bit more expensive. So today we're doing just the flat.
Yes.
Is there any brands you guys like when it comes to rub that you guys would say, hey, check out this brand?
You know, this summer I've been using Meat Church. Their Gospel Rub.
Gospel Rub.
Which, bonus point, because we're a church, but oh my goodness, it's so good.
It's great.
It's the best.
I put today their rub, I put pepper, and then I put their Holy Cow over it.
Yeah, you picked it up at local Ace or ordered online.
Yeah, it's really good
stuff.
stuff.
Meat Church is awesome. I've used that. The last brisket I did for us, what was that, for your birthday?
Yeah.
Maybe a few weeks ago, a couple months ago. That's what I used, Meat Church. All right, so
good.
That's the rub. Let's talk about trimming it, because this takes some work, a little bit of skill, a little bit of heavy lifting. So talk to them about.
3 probably quick things. If it's like firm to the touch, that's not fat. So just like get rid of that. That's not going to render down. On the flat, one side, the fat side, you're going to want to keep like between 1/4 and 1/8 inch of fat, because that is going to render down. That's going to be your flavor. And then you want to think of like making it aerodynamic. So cut off anything that's sticking out or corners, because that's just going to catch too much heat. That's going to burn. So you kind of want to round it out as you trim it.
That's been a new learning for me, the shape of it, because of how it'll take on the smoke.
Yeah.
So sometimes that flat will dry out because of how you've cut it. But yeah, the trimming, I've been, I mean, it takes some work.
I actually put my brisket in a wind tunnel and just see
see,
how well
test
it curves over.
it.
It takes a couple of hours,
Yes.
but it's worth it.
Yeah, but the trimming is so important. Make sure that fat is on there. That gives it tons of flavor. Certainly, we will see that here in a little bit. Yeah, if it's super hard, get rid of that.
Yeah.
Yep.
It will not render down. So that's the trimming. Yeah, let's go next to wrapping it. There's a lot of questions around this. Should you wrap it? When should you wrap it?
Yes.
What should you wrap it with? Foil, butcher paper.
Highly controversial topic.
It is. It is.
Yeah, I think the common method for brisket specifically is to wrap, but to not wrap with foil and to wrap with butcher paper. What happens, brisket's a very tough meat, so it needs to actually not be sped up. It needs to be cooked slow. So foil is gonna speed it up. And the whole idea of wrapping is once you get that bark to set, you're good. Like, it doesn't need any more smoke or exposure to smoke, so that's why we wrap it.
Yeah, yeah.
Foil is gonna speed it up, and you don't want that. So butcher paper is gonna keep it moist, gonna protect it from getting any more smoke. And you'll see when we unwrap it, there's just gonna be meat juice coming out everywhere. So I usually, a brisket will typically stall. It'll stop cooking at like 165 internal temp. That's when I wrap it. Once it's set, it's usually about 165, 170, wrap it, put it back on.
Okay, so you put it on the smoker, unwrapped. Are you going fat side up or fat side down?
Yeah, typically fat side up.
Okay.
Depends on the smoker I'm using, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All right, and then you're gonna wrap it once it begins to stall around the 160 mark.
Yep.
Butcher paper, I definitely concur with that. So
Yeah.
that's the wrapping. And last one, and then we'll move on.
Yeah.
When are you gonna pull it? So
Yep.
people are wondering, like, what is it all by look? Is it by smell, or is it by internal temp?
Yeah.
Yeah, what
with-
kind of cook time we talking about here for this whole thing?
Yeah, so the one that we're gonna taste is gonna be at about the 12-hour mark for just the
Yep.
flat. And if it were the whole thing, add another 3 to 4
I
hours.
think mine was 15 to
Yeah.
18, the one I did for you.
Yep.
So I take it off at 203. So a lot of people say cook it to 200. It will stall again around 190. In fact, I was telling you guys this one, I woke up this morning, 192, it just sat there for 2.5 hours and did not move. In fact, at one point, it went back to 191. So then it'll climb to 203. That's when I pull it. I usually let it rest in a cooler, wrapped in a towel for like 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, the resting, that's kind of the last part. A lot of people, and it's really like getting the timing right, because a lot of times you'll have friends coming over, you'll have
Right,
family
yeah.
coming over, and if you pull it and then everyone's sitting down for dinner, it's just not gonna be what it needs to be. So you actually need to build in, we would say, 5 hours I think is probably the perfect amount of resting
Let
in
it
a
rest.
cooler. A lot of times we'll put a towel around it, so you pull it, butcher paper is still on, put a nice towel that you don't mind ruining.
Correct.
Put that in a cooler. Doesn't need to be, a Yeti. You can put it in any cooler, let it rest. We'd say, 3 to 5 hours at least,
Yep.
and you're gonna be good to go. So that is some of the common questions that people have when it comes to brisket. So we're not just talking about brisket today, we're actually gonna talk about the fourth Beatitude. And we're loving this study that we're doing on the Beatitudes. And this fourth Beatitude that Jesus gave is something that we certainly identify with, but I think every single person, every person watching this or might watch this, I think you'll relate to it. Jesus, he talks about what is part of the human condition, which is to hunger, to be hungry.
Yeah.
And so no matter who you are, no matter if you've gone to church or have ever been to church before, like us, maybe you go to church every single weekend, I think all of us would agree that we all know what it feels like to be hungry, and we're hungry for all kinds of different things, right?
Yeah, we hunger for all sorts of different things. Maybe you're hungering for a promotion, hungering for a relationship, to desire something. Maybe you're desiring margin this summer. Maybe you're desiring time at a lake or time away with your family and your kids. To hunger is to be human.
Yeah.
We were created to crave. And, when I think about this, which is why we're talking about this fourth beatitude, it speaks to this state of being hungry. But it's not just a physical thing. Like, we get what it means to be physically hungry. Right now, maybe you're prepping food for the weekend. Taste buds are starting to go. You're getting hungry.
I can smell.
If you can smell
the
this.
smoker, yeah.
I'm getting hungry. But it's also a spiritual thing.
Yeah.
To hunger at the soul level.
That's right.
And so I want to read this beatitude, this fourth one today. Here's what Jesus says. He says, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst." And these people listening in, they knew about being hungry. They knew about being thirsty. But then what he says next kind of has their ears perk up. "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. And so as I was reading this and thinking about it, like, man, when was the last time you felt full at like a soul level? The last time you were satisfied. When I think about that word satisfied, this picture comes to mind. And you guys know, Grace and I, we had our second, our boy Wells. Yeah. He's 5 months old.
Gosh.
And this picture comes to mind when I think about satisfaction. Wells was created to crave. And multiple times a day, man, he gets hungry. And he starts fussing and he starts craving what he needs. And you know what I don't do? I don't walk in the kitchen, open the fridge, open the Costco chicken, tear a wing off. There you go, have it.
That's what I do with my kids.
Yeah, I know. Parenting by the moments. No, but I'm like, yeah, you don't do that. But he was created to crave. But what does he want? He wants mom.
Yeah.
And so Grace scoops him up and she feeds him. And in about 15 minutes, she walks out with him and Wells has that grin of milk drunk. You know what I'm talking about? Like, parents, if you got little ones, like the eyelids are swooping sleepy. Yeah. His stomach is full. He is satisfied. And in a matter of moments, he is asleep. And I'm just like, man, that's what satisfaction looks like. And is it possible that not only hunger physically, but spiritually, you could have that level of satisfaction where all is right?
Yeah. I think so many people would agree with the Stones. Like, I can't get no
satisfaction.
Yeah,
right?
how many times, even in our lives, we've looked back where, man, we've been chasing after what is so primal, what is so human, to be filled. But many times we chase and run and seek and search in the wrong direction. We run after things that won't fill us.
Yep.
And yet Jesus, in this moment, he says, blessed, which means to be happy.
Yeah.
Happy, to be highly favored are those who hunger and thirst, but he keeps going. And it's almost like that blinking cursor moment. What will he say next?
Yep.
Like, how could anyone be happy or to be highly favored that are hungry and thirsty?
Right.
But he keeps going. He says, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness.
Yeah.
For righteousness. For they'll be filled. They'll be satisfied at a soul level. And I think oftentimes the physical things in life in many ways are like a signpost to the spiritual things.
Yeah.
That God and God alone can actually meet and satisfy. And the good news is he wants to.
Yeah.
He wants to. Certainly we've experienced this in different ways in our life, but this craving, this hungering, this thirsting, Jesus is saying, in me, you can actually be fulfilled. In me, you can be satisfied. Snickers came out with this commercial. Actually, I brought a Snickers, and by now it's completely melted, I'm
Soupy.
sure.
It's pretty soupy.
If you can't tell it at home, this is real. I'm actually sweating profusely. Oh my gosh, look how mushy this is.
Look at that.
I don't know if you can zoom in on this, but Snickers. You guys remember that commercial? I think it was Betty White.
Betty White?
Yeah, so Betty White's in this commercial. These guys are playing like flag football or something like that. And the tagline is brilliant. The tagline is, you are not you when you're hungry.
Yeah.
Which we've all experienced before. You guys have experienced this in my life. I mean, physically, you've seen me hangry before.
Hangry.
Many times my wife,
too.
Kelly, is like, all John needs is a sandwich or some bacon and he'll be fine. You guys have also experienced in my life when I'm spiritually hungry. You guys have seen when I've been running on empty, and you guys know me as good as anyone on earth, and you've said, maybe not, here's a Snickers, but here's a Bible, or hey, here's some worship music, or John, when's the last time you've gotten alone with God? Because I can tell spiritually you're hungry, and the truth is you are not you when you're hungry. And this Sermon on the Mount, specifically this Beatitude number 4, this is what Jesus is talking about. He's saying, guys, you're not you when you're hungry at a soul level. And the good news is Jesus is saying, I have come to satisfy the hunger in your soul. Are you looking for peace? Are you hungering? Are you craving joy? Are you hungering? Are you craving this kind of soul satisfaction? Jesus is saying, I have come that you can experience this kind of fulfillment. And for me, I'm so grateful that Jesus did not say, hey, figure it out. Go find food on your own. He said, no, I am actually the bread of life.
Yeah.
I have come to bring fulfillment, soul satisfaction to you.
And you alluded to it like what the listeners were expecting, because he said, this entire statement is you're hungry and thirsty, but you will be filled.
Yeah.
But the thing right there in the middle is what he offers, in this case, his righteousness. Psalm 34:8 says, taste and see that the Lord is good. And it made me think about, whenever I cook, I like to involve my kids. I like them to be the taste testers. And if I cook something that's normal or traditional, like, grill a steak or a pizza.
A little bit of pasta, maybe.
Right. If I say to them, hey, this is good, they're gonna be like, yeah, I know, this is good. But occasionally I'll do a little experimenting, and I'll either make something like, I'll cook venison. And I'll say, hey, trust me, this is good. And they're like, no. And then I'll always say back, but have you tried it? They'll say, well, no. And I'm like, well, why don't you try it? Or like I'll pickle cucumbers, right? And they're in a jar just like the store-bought ones, but I'll say, hey, have these are good. And they're like, nah, give me the ones that are the store-bought. The latest thing I've made, don't laugh, is I've been making my own butter, okay?
What?
Yep, been making my own
We
butter.
should be concerned now.
Yeah.
Now is the time.
Next is soap. He's gonna start making his own soap.
I won't get into it, but it's really easy. So I made my own butter, and it was like the last day of school.
You put seasoning in that too, or
just salt.
I have so many questions.
Yeah, just,
I mean, okay, I
I
know.
Where's
could
the
go for
goat?
hours.
Do you use a cow? How do we do it?
So it was the last day of school. We're making toast, and I take the butter container off, and there's half and half. There's the store-bought stick of butter that's got the nice edges, and then there's this clump that's mine. And so they're like, Dad, I do not want your butter. Give me that butter that I'm used to. And I said, but have you tried it? And they're like, no. I'm like, well, why don't you try it? And sure enough, when they did, they loved it to the point where I can't quite keep up with the demands.
No kidding.
We're currently out. So, Jesus is saying, or the psalmist is saying, taste and see that the Lord is good. He's asking, have you tried it?
Yes.
Have you tried the Lord and his righteousness, his goodness, what he has to offer? It makes me also think of the countless names of people, specifically through Alpha, who have said, I haven't tried it. And maybe even I don't want to try it, or they're indifferent to trying it being, of course, the goodness of God. And they've tried it, and they've tasted and seen that the Lord is good. His righteousness is good. His ways are higher and better. I think about Capizzolis, through Alpha. I think of
Cheers. Love you guys.
Phil in Leah Morante.
Yeah.
I think of our favorite waiter from 1913, Mark.
Love
All
you, Mark.
people who have tasted and seen
right. The righteousness
that the Lord
of
is
God.
good.
Yes.
And they would tell you what is true is what Jesus promised, that they are now filled. And they wouldn't have said that before they had simply tried what Jesus has to offer.
Yeah, it's so true. Jesus is saying, hey, listen, I know you're hungry. I know you're thirsty. But when you hunger and thirst for my righteousness that comes in and only through me, you'll actually be fulfilled. And some of you watching right now, you're like, but I'm not sure. And we would just say back to you, have you really tasted? Have you really tasted the righteousness of God, this right standing with God and this right way of living among people? Have you actually done it? Have you tasted it? To your illustration, the homemade butter. Turns out it's actually better than the store-bought, which doesn't surprise me at all. And I know one of the joys of our life as we look back over the months and now 10 years of leading Mission Church, one of our greatest joys is seeing these names. There's a whole bunch of folks that have tasted for the first time incredible, savoring, soul-fulfilling relationship with Jesus. There's no substitute. And it's amazing because Jesus said, listen, I have come to give you life and to give you life to the fullest measure. Taste and see.
Which is great. He doesn't give a product to consume, but a person to behold. And that
good.
never runs out of stock. It's like
right.
he is what we need at the soul
so
level
good.
satisfaction.
So taste and see, which makes me want to taste and see.
I think it's time.
It's time to go and taste the brisket and see what we have on our hands today. Let's taste and see. All right, so it's really the moment we've been waiting for. We're under your cooking shelter. You and your dad built this a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Super cool. And you've had it on the web, or how long?
12 hours.
12 hours.
Yeah. So we ready?
I'm ready.
I know they're ready.
All right, let's do
They're
this.
ready for sure.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So that's the butcher paper.
Yep.
For you guys wondering at home.
Yep. So of course, normally we would let this rest, like we advised,
Yeah.
but through the magic of television, we're gonna skip that part. All right. So let me unwrap this for you guys.
Oh yeah. Are you a little nervous right now?
I am. Cooked it overnight, which you're not awake to make adjustments. So I'm liking what I'm
smells
seeing here.
amazing.
It's not super dry in there. Yeah, it's got some good feel. Another thing too, I know the suspense. You can kind of see it's a little wobbly.
Yeah,
which is
you
good.
want the wobble.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
There's some moisture.
Yeah. Holy. All right. So you take the paper.
You do the lift, I do the pull.
Yep.
There we go.
All right. So I like to cut with actually a bread knife. So a little tip there, if you want, just get a bread knife. So let's just. Oh, there we go.
Oh, look at the smoke ring. Oh
Yep.
my goodness. Look at that.
All right. So a little.
There it is.
Okay.
what
So we
you
got some
want.
juice. Or we are hoping to have some. So.
Dude, well,
Should we taste and see if this
we're gonna
brisket
taste
is
and
good?
see. We're gonna taste
That
and
is
see.
a great smoke ring you got in there, that pink on the edge.
Oh my goodness.
Yep. Get through there. Wow, look at that.
Beautiful. All right. Beautiful.
Yeah, look at that. It's coming undone there. Nice.
Yeah. And again, this is just the flat. This
Just
isn't-
the flat.
Yep. Wow.
That's rendered nicely.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
All right, go ahead. Grab a little piece.
Yeah. So as we're finishing up, let's kind of finish
Yeah.
up what we're talking about. This fourth beatitude, Jesus said, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled." What we're talking about today is you are not you when you're hungry.
Yeah.
The good news is Jesus came to fill that void with himself. Relationship with Christ. This is the righteousness of God, right standing with God, right living among others. And here's how we're going to put this into action.
While he's talking.
As we taste and see how we can apply this. Let's just use the word EAT as the acronym. So if you're wondering, like, what does it look like for you to apply this? How's that first bite?
I couldn't wait.
Oh.
I'm listening, but I had to start.
I mean, imagine me. I'm trying to think. And
Melts.
Melts. So as we're thinking about how to apply this, let's use EAT as the acronym.
Great.
So if people are saying, all right, how can I actually take a step and apply this teaching today on hungering and thirsting for righteousness? Well, let's just start with engaging a Bible reading plan. This is where it begins. Engage a plan. And the plan that we've been doing as a church for the past year is the Bible
in 1 year.
in 1 year.
Yeah.
You guys are doing that. Our whole staff and tons of people in our church are doing that. So this is a great way for you to apply this. You can engage a plan, join us in that. Every single day of the calendar year, you can choose your reading for that day. It's an Old Testament, a New Testament, a Psalm, or proverb. And we'd encourage you guys to engage a plan. How's that been for you guys as you've done that throughout the year?
Yeah.
How have you experienced being filled at a soul level?
Yeah, I mean, it's been really good. It's one of those things that, being anchored in truth and reading the Bible through our Bible reading plan, it's one of those things that's just a consistent practice. Even when I fall out of it, we huddle up as volunteers every Sunday morning, so it's great to all be on the same page and just hearing what God's speaking to us and get encouraged by other people getting filled up when we talk about the ways God's word is satisfying us, when we feel like we're lacking during the week.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. Get in the Bible reading plan, engage it.
A stands for attend next week. And you're actually going to be teaching next week.
I am. Next Sunday, we'll be back at Mission. It is Beatitude number 5.
Can you chew your food first?
I-
No, just kidding.
Yeah, I
keep
know,
going.
it's-
Keep going.
It's not polite, I know, but neither is wiping with a towel and putting it back in your back pocket. So yeah, attend next week. We'd love to have you back at 82 Stratford Drive, Beatitude number 5. I invite you to come on.
I
Attend
think
next week.
the air conditioning will be working again.
That's the plan.
What's T?
T is Tri Alpha. So you can go to yalpha.com and you can see when our next course is starting. I plan on being in it again, hosting a circle.
That's
So yalpha.com, T stands for Tri Alpha.
Yeah, I wish you guys were here. I wish you could taste what I'm tasting right now. Tommy, you are a gentleman and a scholar and a wonderful cook. This is going to wrap it up for Mission Church Barbecue Edition, Church at Home. So glad you guys joined us today. Thanks for inviting friends. Share this with a friend. Get the word out. We believe Jesus came to fulfill us at the soul level. Taste and see, because he is that good. We'll see you guys soon.